you? Welcome back to my channel. You're in my dining room and I just figured I would take this time to kind of catch up on my pregnancy updates. Did you hear that? That was my rooster. I have failed to get up my 8 and 9 weeks pregnancy updates when I really wanted to. Last week I just didn't even upload a pregnancy update at all, and of course my pregnancy has been continuing. Here I am. I'm going to give you my 8 and 9 weeks pregnancy update. Because the weeks are so similar, I just figured, you know what, I might as well throw them all together. I'm behind anyway. So hopefully you'll be seeing my 10 weeks pregnancy update in a couple days and I'll be kind of caught back up. Let's just begin. I have my notes on my phone right here. 8 and 9 weeks, again, were pretty similar. Both weeks are what they say online to be the worst weeks hormonally. And so typically this is when people have the worst morning sickness. So that is what I've experienced. It has been rough being 8 and 9 weeks pregnant. I have been sick since about 6 weeks pregnant, but you kind of forget just how bad it gets, and then it just kind of gets worse and worse and worse, and you're just like, surely I'm at the worst part, right? And then you're not. And then you're not. It just gets worse. So that's what I'm living in right now. It's just kind of waking up and every day it being a little bit worse. But I did want to share with you a new medicine that I started taking. My doctor prescribed to me a medicine that my insurance ended up not covering at all. It was going to be like $400 to pay out of pocket. And I was talking to my pharmacist friend. She goes to my church, super sweet. She was like, you know what that is, that medicine that she prescribed you? I can't even remember the name now. She said, I'm going to send you an article. And I said, okay, you know, whatever. And in that article, it explains that that medicine is basically Unisum, the sleeping agent, plus B6, vitamin B6. And so when you combine those two, it's literally the same exact thing. But they just decided to mark up the price and make it a prescription drug, combine them two, make it real easy, all in one medicine, and, you know, kind of rip off customers. Here's the Unisum. I just bought this at Walmart. No prescription, nothing needed. It's just a sleeping agent. You really need to get this specific one, not the extra strength or the non-drowsy, like this one. And then you cut the tablets in half. Hopefully you can see that. And then they just pop real easily in half. I take a half of a Unisum, and then this B6 that I bought on Amazon online. I feel like one of those classic YouTubers doing like a makeup tutorial. Oh yeah, here. Okay, so anyway, this is the vitamin B6 that I take, and I bought it off of Amazon. It was the only place that I could find 25 milligram tablets. They say do not take more than 200 milligrams of B6 while you're pregnant. And a lot of prenatal vitamins have a couple milligrams in them. And then like you got avocados, I think bananas, and all these different things that come with natural B6. And so I had B6 in 100 milligram tablets, but then I could really easily overdose if I had to take 2 doses of medicine in a day. I couldn't take any more, you know, all that kind of stuff. And so this, I'm gonna link below the article, the link that explains everything about this medicine, why it's safe, you know, all that kind of stuff. But this is actually safer than what I took with my first pregnancy. With my first pregnancy, my doctor prescribed me Zofran and Phenergan, and these are medicines that they prescribe to cancer patients. My sister-in-law had cancer, and she took these to help with her nauseousness during chemo treatments. I took those heavy drugs, and come to find out, they're actually pretty unsafe to take while pregnant, and it's kind of like a last-ditch effort. So I was very grateful that I had this information. I was able to try this Unisum and B6, and it ends up helping me more than what I remember the Zofran and the Phenergan helping me in the past. Again, I will link these products as well as the article down below if this is something that you're interested in. For some reason, I've been having more nausea in the evenings, right around the 8-week mark, like to the day almost. I noticed my nausea really ramping up in the evenings. And for some reason, if I take this medicine in the evenings, I don't really notice a difference. Like it doesn't seem to help. So I don't know, I feel like it also does weird things if I already have a full stomach. That's kind of interesting. So right now I'm just taking 1 dose in the morning, and then I'm powering through the nausea throughout the rest of the day because I haven't found anything that really helps me work through the nausea through the rest of the day, except for those fizzy drink packets I showed y'all. I mentioned these in a few of my other videos. They're the Sparkling Mama fizzy drinks. And one of them comes in like a ginger flavor, but this is the raspberry and mint. Let's see if you can read that. Yeah. And so, it's really helped me just when I have to take off the edge because I can't survive or whatever. Let's get to my list. I really noticed the exhaustion ramping up, and this medicine doesn't help. Again, it's a sleeping agent, so it's only gonna make you more tired. But because it helps with my nausea, I'm able to drink coffee, which kind of evens it out. Again, you're not supposed to drink more than 1 cup of coffee a day, so you gotta be careful in that way. But I found that it really did help with my nausea overall. And I still was just exhausted because I'm pregnant and I'm growing a child, and that's okay. Another thing I really noticed in the 8-9 week mark is I felt like it was getting easier, or I could tell the pressure was building on my lady bits, and that I could easily get a UTI. I'm very prone to getting UTIs. I have been taking cranberry to help with that, and I typically always take cranberry like every single day, but I was like doubling up my doses, like taking 2 a day and stuff like that to help fight, and I feel like it has helped a lot. I could feel one coming on like towards the end of every single day. So I don't know, maybe you're like me and you feel that extra pressure. It's a common thing to get a UTI during pregnancy because your body parts have moved around and they're putting pressure on your urinary tract and closing the flow so bacteria can build up, which is why they always test you for UTIs whenever you go to the doctor. They always take a pee sample and test you. So anyway, I just wanted to nip that in the bud and start preventing it a little bit more powerfully. And so whenever I feel the need to, I'll take extra cranberry, and I bought cranberry juice because that stuff is delish. So I've still been pretty dizzy. Like, it's gotten worse. Almost fainting spells, a lot of the like you can't stand up without getting lightheaded. So being really careful, being really cautious is important. And I find that the more like steadily active I am, better off my body seems to be. So if I like go on a run, the hour or 2 after I've been active, my body seems to have that extra blood flow, something is extra pumping, and I get less dizzy and I feel a little less nauseous. But if I don't work out, if I'm just kind of being lazy with my day and sitting around or not moving around a whole lot, I'll be extra dizzy and extra nauseous. If you experience something like that, please tell me, because I just think that's so weird. It's like counterintuitive, but whatever. I have also noticed a big increase in bloating. Some days I'm like, I look like I'm in my 2nd trimester. But usually I just have a little burp, and then my stomach goes down. It's like very obvious to me that my body is working through a lot of gas bubbles. I'm part of the fart train. I feel like my libido was down the first couple weeks and it is back up, so I'm sure my husband appreciates that. It's interesting though to experience it. 1, not really realizing that it had dropped and be like, oh, okay, I guess it had dropped. And then 2, being too sick to act on it, if you know what I mean. So that's interesting. I am having kind of less cravings. I feel like my cravings, I mentioned this in my video, but they kind of peaked around the 6 week mark, and it was just like if someone mentioned chips and salsa, I had to have it right then and there. And they've definitely subsided. There's less like of a hormonal connection to needing that food right now. And it might just be the fact that my nausea has kicked up and my food aversions are kicking in, but I don't feel quite as like I have to go get chips and salsa right now. It's a little bit more like regulated and be like, well, it'd be nice to get chips and salsa, but I'm not gonna die. That's probably good. I had a moment on my 8 week mark where I was thinking like, I haven't even looked up pictures of what my baby looks like. You know, this has been such a whirlwind. If you haven't watched my video about finding out that I was pregnant, it was, I'll link it up above. It was really unexpected. At least unexpected for me. I'm a big planner that I am. Like, I know in my head that I'm pregnant and I should probably think about buying another crib and like make a registry of all the things I need for baby number 2, or, you know, just I'm mentally preparing for baby number 2. But in my heart, it's like, I don't know, because I haven't been praying as much for this baby as I did with my son. And I just now downloaded the Bump app and, all those apps where you can see, what your baby looks like and what they're growing that week, and you know, oh, he's got kidneys this week or whatever. So I just now downloaded that, and I feel like I just now kind of coming to grips that like, okay, I have a kid coming. Like, that's another soul. That's another Winchester. If you don't know, my firstborn's name is Winchester. Like the rifle. I know, we're dorky. Anyway, so I've been trying to pursue getting my heart there, understanding that I'm pregnant and praying for my child and thinking about, you know, that's another person. Like, what are they going to be like? What's their personality going to be like? You know, what are their dreams? And I don't know, what is their cry going to look like? What are they going to look like? You know, so but a way of doing that, a way of preparing my heart and not just my head that I'm pregnant is, you know, opening up that app and seeing where they are. And so I had a moment when I finally looked up how big is my child at 8 weeks. And it was either losing the tail or about to lose the tail. And that made me freak out. So with my firstborn, like I started looking at, you know, ultrasound pictures and apps and stuff. Like the moment I found out I was pregnant, I knew 3 days after I conceived. I'll link up a video about that. So anyway, I knew really early on that I was pregnant, and I was able to track the pregnancy like from the very beginning. So it seemed like it took forever for the little baby inside me to start looking like a real baby without a tail and without webbed toes and fingers, and to get bigger than a raspberry, you know? And this time around, it's like the first time I check, it's the size of a raspberry and doesn't even have a tail anymore. And so that made me like kind of break down and cry, because it's just already going by so fast. And a lot of people told me that it would go by so fast, but because I have another child to run after, it's like all those little steps of, oh, it's, you know, losing its webbed fingers isn't as big of a deal, or oh, it's growing a kidney isn't as big of a deal. You know, my world isn't revolving around tracking this baby because I have a whole other baby to track, and it's right here, right now, and I can hear it crying. That's also probably part of just having your kids close together, is I also feel like I just did that. And so if you don't know, my kids are 18 months apart, or they will be 18 months apart. And so I feel like I just did that. So there's less drive to like get back into like seeing the doctor all the time and like looking at the app all the time and feeling pregnant all the time. Okay, so on to specifically 9 weeks. I, of course, got even worse on the 9-week mark. And again, it was eye-opening. I was like, I forgot how bad it can get. And I noticed really quickly how at around that 9-week mark, I would go from freezing to sweating very quickly, and then back and forth. And usually I was never having the same feelings temperature-wise as my husband. So like my husband might be like sweating and I was freezing and shivering. So that's been a really interesting thing. I don't know if it has to do with blood sugar or what, but I want to be careful and make sure I'm taking care of my body and that it's healthy. But it also just might be related to hormones or something. So I noticed, I mentioned this in one of my other videos. I think it was my 5 weeks pregnant video where I mentioned the symptoms for this pregnancy. So I'll link that up above. But I just wrote down on my notes, smelly down there. I mentioned this in that video, and I just noticed that this week I noticed maybe it was worse or just still there, that it just smells different hormonally down there. I also noticed even more enhanced ability to smell things. So whether it was cologne on a person on the other side of the room or someone's breath or whatever, I could name what that person ate for dinner. It's a tricky part of pregnancy because you're so sick, but you can smell every little thing. One day I was gonna get sick if I didn't eat something, so I threw a gluten-free English muffin into the toaster. And you know how the crumbs or the corners of the English muffin, you know, burn and give it that little toasty taste. Well, the smell of the burning alone made me get sick before I was able to eat it. So, you know, it wasn't a strong burning smell, but with my nose, it smelled like the whole house was on fire. So it made me barf. I hope that's not a trigger word for you and making you sick by me just saying BARF. But yeah, the sense of smell kicked up. And then I think it's also really important to mention that I started noticing my body get kind of tense and weak. Like just achy, like I almost had the flu. So I don't really know if that's normal or if it's because I'm chasing after another kid and, you know, doing a lot of stuff with my life. I don't know, but just feeling like my body was hit by a train and can't get enough sleep. So yeah, thanks so much for joining me today for this 8 and 9 weeks pregnancy update. I'm sorry it took me so long to get this information out there. Comment down below if you can relate, girlfriend, because I'm there with you. And if you don't know, my due date is October 2019, late October 2019. So let me know if you're due around the same time as me, and we'll stay in contact. Bye, you guys, and as always, stay faithful.